Good evening. How are we doing? This evening you have found me on almost in Glenbrittle, almost closer to Carabost, but I'm in a bit of a rush. As you can probably tell by the glow on my face, it is that time for creating beautiful images. Tonight's image is going to be hopefully a super large, huge image that may possibly get printed large. And if it does, I will keep you involved in the process of printing it large. But fingers crossed, this one, not that one, that tonight's image is going to be super fine detail and something hopefully special. The concept for my evening is mountains, sunlight, and then afterburn in the clouds. Now the mountains I've come to photograph are them bad boys just over there, and the way I'm going to shoot them is by using my telephoto lens. So that's going to be lots and lots of images, and with my 36 megapixel sensor, that is going to be one hell of a file, but hopefully a beautiful image. And that's the most important thing. That's what I've come here to create. So right now the light is absolutely popping. I was this close tonight and not even coming out. Look at that golden light on them mountains. But before I start capturing this image, what I need to make sure I do is get my tripod level enough. Now it's not quite level and I'm getting attacked by so many midges right now. Like, look at my hand, I'm just covered in them. So I'm not going to worry about it being too level, but I am going to be here for a while, so I'm probably going to get eaten. Wow, so many midges. So what I like to do is open up my aperture all the way to 2.8, and then I'm just going to adjust my shutter speed so I can see, and then I just use my focusing ring and I turn it until it is pinpoint sharp. That's it right there. So now I've done that, I can zoom out and I can close the aperture again back to f11, where I think this lens is at its sharpest. Readjust my shutter speed, and there we are. So it is a perfectly windless evening, which is brilliant for midges and terrible for me. On f11, on L10 as well, that gives me a 1/5 exposure. Now I can start on one side and then I can shoot that, and then I'm going to do tiny little adjustments, keeping my live view on to make sure that I don't lose anything, because if I don't make it so there's enough of an image from the last one, so this section here, let's look at the line in the middle. So what I do, so look at that line in the middle, and then I turn it so I'm not missing. So that line on the side is now going down the middle. So I'm shooting half of the image again. Because I'm shooting at 200mm on a zoom lens, it's really small movements. So this is 3 images already. By the time I get to the end, this is going to be a lot of images. So I've had to move away from my camera. The midges got that bad over there. it's just swarming around where I've just been. They'll follow me over here in a second and I can move back over there. But anyway, so I've done my mountain. I've got my mountain, I've got it in the light that I wanted it in, and it's looking beautiful. What I am going to do though is I'm going to wait until the sky lights up, so the sun needs to drop a little bit lower. Once that happens, and then I'm going to move my camera up and I'm going to pan across, shoot in the sky, and I might move up even once more time, pan across, shoot in the sky. Now, when I stitch all of this together, it's so important that I leave this much photo, this much of my image on both sides crossed, so nothing ends up not being able to stitch together. Because if I've come out here and I've been eaten to pieces and the computer Lightroom can't stitch these images together, whoo! Like I love the summer, I love warm weather, I just don't like the biting insects. But anyway, so I've got my mountains and now I'm just going to wait for the sky to catch. Once the sky catches, then I'm onto a winner, and I've got an idea using this road here as a little bit of a leading line. But before that happens, I'm going to give you a little bit of a time lapse just so you can watch it change as I do. Right, I'll see you when the sky is lighting up. So I found an easy way, sorry about the shaky camera, I found a very easy way to hopefully not get bitten by too many midges, and that is to walk around with you. As soon as I stand still, they attack, and there's this little breeze coming over right where I'm stood that seems to be keeping them at bay, which is perfect, absolutely perfect. As you can probably see behind me, the sky is kicking off. It is looking absolutely incredible, but so far above the mountains, I know you've seen it in the time lapse already, not really a lot's going on. So at the moment it's a bit touch and go whether I'm going to get that amazing sky, but off over here it's starting to catch a little bit. So you never know what might happen, as it might find a nice gap and just illuminate all of this cloud above my head. And if it does, I'm onto a winner. Oh, the midges are chilling out there. Right, I'll go back to here where I've got this little bit of breeze. They seem to really struggle with a little bit of breeze, but I'm just gonna sit, hold tight and hope for the best. But before I sign off and see what happens, I'm going to show you the back of my camera and show you how high up I've changed my angle for my lens. So now as I pan across, as you'll see through the back of the lens, back of the camera, sorry, I'm shooting at the top of the mountain. So I'm not cutting off too much that it's going to be unable to stitch between, but I've got enough of the mountains so hopefully the programs won't get so confused. But now it's just a time of sitting and waiting and hoping for the best. So I've come to terms with the fact that the sky above the mountains is not gonna light up, but I have just done a panoramic of the sky you've been looking at, and I'm going to test my Photoshop skills. It's not something I normally do, a composite on this scale, but I feel like this might work out pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around the mountains very carefully, very closely, and then I'm going to try and place that sky behind them mountains. But I haven't just come here to get that shot. I've got another idea, but it's going to take a lens swap to make it happen. So what I'm thinking for this next image is I've gone much wider. I've gone all the way to 24mm now, and I've put on my medium grad. I've got my polarizer on the back. It's not really doing a lot, but I feel like it just cuts down through that mist and that fog between me and the mountains and helps bring out a little bit more detail. So on the back of my camera, first of all, I've got the camera nice and level. Now I've framed this shot to have the road coming in the left hand side and driving all the way through. And now all I need to do is to wait for a car to come with his lights on. I've got my shutter release on and I've got it set to continuous. And then with continuous, I'll be able to keep shooting and hopefully get some beautiful light trails cutting right through my scene. And then when I stitch all them different frames together, I'll be able to have one consistent light trail all the way through. So the settings I've got it on ISO 100. The reason why is because I want that sensitivity to be enough that I'm capturing enough of them light trails, and I don't want the exposure to go on too long so they're not very sort of really faint. I want them to be nice and bright and sharp. I've focused in on the mountain in the background and I use my little technique. So all I need to do now is just wait for them cars to come, and then hopefully I'm going to create exactly what I'm hoping for. So here we come, here comes the car now. So all I do is I get my shutter release, lock it up, and it's just going to continuously take pictures of this car coming past and hopefully capture some nice light trails. And I need to capture a few of these so I can blend them together to be able to create a solid light trail all the way throughout the image. So this is what the end of that looks like. You can start to see I've started to get some pretty cool light trails. But now I need about 5 or 6 more cars to make really solid, nice, thick light trails to really pull this image together. So I have been eaten to death. Since I was last on camera, I had 4 or 5 cars go past. So fingers crossed I had enough light to create the light trails. I could have probably waited a little bit longer, but I was getting eaten so bad. The only thing I could do really was head home. Again, I haven't seen either of these images. Tonight I'm kind of going into realms unexplored in too much, but with the level of editing that is going to be needed to create both of these images. And yes, one of them is going to be a massive composite. So it's slightly cheating, but you never know. It might work out with some pretty epic results. And the other one might have some lovely light trails. You never know. But that is all from me this evening. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.